Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. If you're new to the channel, as I just said, my name is Laura. And anything of any importance you can find in the description box below. All right. You can find all important links and always directions on how to enter into winning a free reading with me, just in case you miss one of the front intros of my videos. I never know how to start these things, you know. I feel like hi, like all right. Anyway, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word in the description box. All right. The clear family karma. Ah. What's family karma? Family karma is when you inherit behaviorisms, habits, conditions that your parents did, sabotaging behaviorisms, I should really say. When we inherit karma, it means that the same types of experiences play out. But why do those experiences play out? Well, ancestral karma, family karma. And the problem is that we all grow up in societies that teach us, and they teach us through whatever's going on. And just like how there's a war over in Israel and with the Palestinians, there's a lot of different, even if you're not over there, you're experiencing it. You're experiencing the energetic imbalance from it, right? Because we see it creates a lot of hate. It creates a lot of, and there's only two energies, love and fear. And hate is actually derived from fear. So when we have spiritual imbalances, that means that we have psychological and emotional imbalances. And we can know that we're imbalanced by the way that we feel. So when we inherit family karma, I feel, Virgo, that you've inherited family karma, and this family karma affects your relationships. It affects the way that people perceive you. It's how they feel that they can treat you. So even though you're really nice and everything looks as if you do well in your work, even if you weren't doing well in your work, you always give off the impression that everything is fine. See, and that's the thing. People that are spiritual wounded tend to look like overachievers a lot of times. They're very careful in what they perceive out into the world. And mainly that's because there's a deep feeling internally of feeling inadequate. So that's really where family karma comes from. When we see our family feel not adequate in a certain aspect of life. So that could be financially, it could be within relationships. I feel like you grew up in a home where that's what you saw. You saw your father not really give to your mother. You saw that your mother was always angry because she felt as if she was ignored. Now, it didn't mean that there wasn't love. There was love. There was a lot of love. Understand, only God loves perfectly. So when I say God, that's unconditional love, that's the universe, but it's hard to perceive the universe, where it's a little bit easier to perceive a God because we associate people with gods. Like there's Buddha, there's Jesus, and there's 1,000 others. You get the drift of it. So our mind goes there. It's that holy person that depicts the character of unconditional love through their actions, right? So when we see clear family karma, we have to actually clear the energetic residue from what has happened in the past, and not just within our family, but collectively. So when you see that there hasn't been any clearing, and there hasn't been any clearing on the planet because there's a lack of spiritual education, well, now we see wars, we see that our country is really out of balance. And our country is really out of balance because we never healed. We never healed. It's like we think that we healed and we try to do things differently and learn from the past, but every situation has imbalances in it. And we're not made to stay in one place all the time. We're meant to be able to go with the flow. Now, does that mean that we're not supposed to have relationships? No, we are supposed to have relationships, but not codependent relationships. So when I'm feeling clear of family karma, I'm feeling like you have a connection with somebody that is very codependent, and you used to be very codependent, and you are not codependent any longer. And the problem with codependency is that one person's very emotional and expressive and knows how to communicate, and they're with somebody that doesn't know how to communicate, that feels inadequate, but does very well financially, or is very good with structural things, meaning they can create structure because they usually are very financially savvy, because they do not incorporate the emotions. They're able to detach and they're able to departmentalize. So I'm feeling, Virgo, that you are connected to somebody that, again, is detached from themselves. And so this is a family karma that needs to be cleared. And we need to understand why you're attracting that person. Why are you attracting that person? How is your situation playing out karmically? Now, this isn't about love. Understand that only God loves perfect. So when we have a soulmate, that person is a divine counterpart of any sort. Soulmate, twin flame, even a past life karmic mate is a divine counterpart, because the divine only looks at things through how well you're going to learn, so that you can evolve into the highest state of consciousness to get to unconditional love, to learn that you're not separate from love, through seeing your life through all different perceptions. But Virgo, you keep reliving the same pattern, making you feel frustrated, making you feel like you can't have, making you feel as if you're not good enough, when that's not really how the universe makes us. That's not the way that God makes us. God makes us perfect. We are love. We are born into imbalanced environments. So we have to see how your situation is playing out. But I'm always curious to look at the inner child wounds before we do so. Oh, I might have forgotten to tell you that my readings are just a little bit longer. They're a little bit longer because I do want to know what your person does, Virgo. It's not like I don't, or how they feel, but you want to know what you're working with. It's not good enough that you see red flags. Everybody has red flags. Depends on the day. Depends on what went on in their life. Everyone has baggage. Everybody has things about themselves that they don't like. Everyone has shadows. Learning to navigate your relationship is important, because when you don't navigate your relationship properly, you get more wounds and you inflict wounds. And so you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life, including the karmic experiences. So without going to the source, and the source is those inner child wounds. Even though they're not exciting, I realize it's not exciting. Cleansing, see, like needing a cleansing, and that's not enough spiritual information. And I'm not talking about spiritual as in the real new age spiritual. I'm talking about real spiritual nutrition, about understanding that you're a spiritual being having a human experience and how your mind works. So reading things like Science of the Mind, if you're Catholic, reading like understanding like scriptures, and the same thing in any religion, to understand, because when you really understand, what you'll see is that we're all connected, and that when you look at things through a higher perception, a higher mind, that's the place that's filtered through unconditional love. You won't be triggered. So the cleansing is like cleansing of what your family has like you needed that. And I feel like you were that to your family. You were the healer of the family. So you are made to believe that you were weaker when you weren't weaker. But there were so many imbalances going on in your life and the way that you grew up, that you were made to feel like there was something really wrong with you. And so, because everybody in your home felt inadequate, because when this main parents, like I was going to say the main parties, but because not everybody has parents, but whoever raised you, whether it was a caregiver, whether it was a parent, whether you were left with a sister or a brother most of your time, a grandparent. And so you were always a little empathic. You were always a little intuitive. So you were the healer of the family. You cleansed them. And part of it was because of your imbalances, that they were made to be exasperated instead of helped. It was only another excuse. And so understand, you haven't done healing enough for yourself. And that's not meaning that you haven't done spiritual work. You might not have had a love affair with yourself. You might have not experienced anything in your life to really know who am I? What do I like? What do I not like? Who deserves to be in my life? Who doesn't deserve to be in my life? Maybe you weren't honoring yourself enough, and people noticed that you were too willing to cleanse them, to come in to fix them, to do for others, because that was a trained condition. That's not because that's really who you are. Yes, you may be intuitive, you may be a healer, but then to be balanced, and a healer could be a nurse, it could be a doctor, it could be a therapist, it could be anything that you're interacting with people and you're giving them emotional comfort. Some of the hairdressers, when I was a hairdresser, believe me, it wasn't the hair that people came to me for. They never knew what they were going to get. It was a little bit like Russian roulette. You can't psychically figure out how to cut hair, though I tried. Understand, they came to me because I had a heart connection. It was like, and they didn't really care about their hair, obviously. If they were going to me, like, it's like the cleansing was that when you're overly giving to everyone else to heal them, you're not creating yourself. You're not becoming, so you don't desire. You only will play the same tapes that have played out within your life before, keeping you stuck in a place of limitation, keeping you stuck in a place of feeling as if you're not enough, that you're not worthy. And so what happens is that people then feel really guilty once they get to know you. And then, so I need to see how this plays out, but I needed to channel that, because guess what? If you don't see nice cards, it's because those people's shadows are up and, exposing them. And so understand, codependency usually means one person gives a lot, Another person doesn't show anything. There's always a runner, there's always a chaser. Sometimes the roles change. They usually do over the time in a relationship. And that doesn't mean you're together. Sometimes it's just, one of those things. But understand, cleansing is that you were the healer of the family. And so you never taught anyone how to treat you. So you weren't aware of how people perceived you. So this is what we have to take notice. That's why I said, don't have a heart attack if you don't like the cards that come out, because it doesn't mean that this person doesn't love you too, because you'll be like, well, what the fuck is that? And that's because like goes to like. So do you mean to create what you're creating, the experience that you're going through? No, this is not what you're, yes, I would like to be in pain, thank you. No, that's not what you want. What you want is, I want to be loved. But you have blocks to love. But the block is that you don't believe that you're lovable. So who comes to you is a mirror of that. And those people are going to have a hard time expressing themselves, right? If you have a root chakra imbalance, all your chakras are blocked. And that root chakra is, I'm strong within myself. I can go with the flow of life, which is that second chakra, because I'm grounded in the here and now. And I love myself. And so I'm connected to myself, the world, and God, because God works through me, through my universe, to bring me everything that I need for support. That first chakra is like a strong within myself, the support. And so your person doesn't, I'm feeling like doesn't have that. So we have to look and see, well, we want to also look at the shadows, we want to look at the shadows, shadow love, and the regular shadow. Angry, again, ruled by emotions, but angry is that root chakra imbalance, again, because I feel like I can't have it. So you are attracting someone that is also angry because of their life. Again, codependence. This is what I'm feeling. We're going to see what's in the cards. But angry, ruled by emotions. So, and that's not coming from your higher mind. And that happens too when you're in a relationship with someone that continually triggers you, which is the repeated family karma. Excessive, okay, overstating the situation too much, going on and on and on is what I feel like when people get really angry. So this is how your person perceives you. Your person perceives you is what I'm feeling as really angry and like you just won't let it go. You just won't let it go. And so they're also coming from a very left brain perception. And that's where you're not allowed to be able to explain yourself. So you feel like this person isn't emotionally holding space, which is the main problem with these codependent relationships. It's that you're together, but when you need that emotional support, you don't get it, which is why you are going on and on and on about it. And why the more you go on and on and on about it, the more angry you get. So this, again, we have to become aware and say, well, is this what I grew up in? Because I need to break that family karma. I need to break it. Because then what'll happen is that you pass it on. The loved one. Let's see what these have to tell us. All right, let's see. Oop, that fell out, so let's just take it. Grieving, it didn't work out the way they imagined. So again, I felt like you were in separation with somebody, and I was right. And because what happens is you get so angry that they perceive and they don't know how to like approach you. And so when they're feeling bad, they thought that if they waited that you wouldn't be as angry. And that, I don't know why people do that. I feel like you get more angry when you wait. And so that person was afraid So that if they approached you, you would be angry, but then they wound up creating that. It's like, I don't believe that you were as angry before. Like, that's the irony of it. It's like if they just would have tried to talk it out, they have a problem communicating, which is why emotionally they have a hard time showing up. Crushed. Like, again, like, because like, I feel like this person really feels crushed, but I also feel like you feel crushed because you're like, you're not here for me. And it's like, I know you love me and I know that you care about me, but you're not here. I still don't get what I need. And they feel crushed because they're like, I don't really understand what I'm not doing. And it's like, that's what happens. It's not that the person doesn't love. What happens is that the wounds never get healed. So what happens is that go back into a scenario, a different scenario, but the same karmic theme plays out. And that karmic theme is, I never get my place. I never emotionally, I'm getting what I need, even when you're here, even if you are here. It's like, and somehow it's like, I continue to feel that lack. So, and so Spirit says, well, we need to look and see why that happens. That's the most important thing, to be like, well, why does that happen? And what can you do to incorporate into your life? Because to heal it and understand, yes, this is a karmic relationship. And so it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you. I am going to look at the hidden truths, and then we are going to look and see what the spiritual lesson would be. Why, like it, how, why always see what their plan of action is, right? Because just because a person, like, they feel crushed, they don't know what to do. I feel like you feel crushed. There's a lot of mirroring energy because you have two people that really do care about each other, but it's like can never get on the same page. I replay our conversations over and over again, like stuck in the past, trying to figure out, look for clues. Oh, I can't count that because I was like every single card came out. Okay, let's see. I bury myself in work to forget you. Like they're escaping. I wish I could share my good news with you. I feel like they're making changes in their life. But they know that they need to heal themselves in order to be with you at this point, because they can't come in they can't come in like lowballing it, which is what I feel like they normally do. One more. I feel you even though we're apart. So it's, again, they're learning that unconditional love is like never dies, like regardless of whether you're together or not, whether you're living or not. That's how mediums able to tap in that soulmates ESP connection. And at this point, maybe that's what it's about. It's about, you can fall in love and see that you'll always love that person, but you're just it's never gonna be, because you don't think the way that they think, and vice versa. And so coming from two different standpoints, and that happens a lot of times, especially if you grew up in an environment where you've inherited family karma. Because what happens is that you never go, you seek out what's familiar unconsciously, what feels comfortable. And so you didn't recognize what was comfortable at the time. But I feel like you learned that this isn't comfortable. So you can love, but you don't have to like You can love it, but not be together. And also you can love somebody and I don't know. I just feel like there was a lot of spiritual lessons in this connection. So some may be like, well, that's a waste that this person like isn't doing. No, you have to look at the spiritual lesson. Why? Because you attracted somebody like this. You're the person that didn't recognize that they weren't giving you anything. You were holding on. You didn't see who this person was. You were looking at the potential of it. And this person is selfish. Like I said, people that are very analytical when it comes to love, they don't think about anyone else except for themselves. They're good in business. It's like, and I'm not saying that all people that are left-brained are that way, but in this story, this person, it was a very codependent relationship. And that's as long as you're going to keep giving, keep giving, keep giving of yourself, well, then the relationship goes. But if you don't give, then that person's not going to be able to hold the relationship. You made the relationship go. It's not that they don't love. It's the inadequacy that they feel within themselves. You attracted somebody that is afraid to express themselves, to be vulnerable. So they sit back and they let other people do it this way. They're never wrong. But then it's also the cowardly way. So again, there's a low vibration. So we see what is the energy that we should be pulling into our life? What are we supposed to be also learning? More wisdom that's going to make us feel better, especially if we have invested a lot of time in something that essentially is not really going to turn into anything, because this is as best as they can do. You know, we have to ask, what are we supposed to be getting? So what am I? I'm like, pick a deck, any deck, pick a deck. All right, well, we'll definitely pick from this deck. All right. Positive thinking. My life is full of small patches of light. I direct my thoughts to that which brings me well-being. I place what is weighty for me into the hands of the universe. Little by little, the light awakens in my being and I find serenity. So what Spirit is saying is, and this is why I couldn't figure out a deck to pick, because I was like, well, what's the story? And Spirit says, well, it's never, that's your karma. The karma when you actually are focusing and giving so much and then you don't get anything in return, and there's felt like with emptiness is replaced with it. Well, that's kind of this space that Spirit always wants you to sit in, so that you look and you see how you contributed to that life experience. However, positive thinking, which is what Spirit is saying, is the biggest takeaway from an experience of this is, I don't want to repeat this again. I don't want to attract the same person that can't give anything, that won't show anything, that puts like weird rules and restraints on relationship because they can't function, that they want me to be uncomfortable for their comfortability. How are we going to get there? Spirit says everybody has shadows, everyone has spiritual blocks. However, everybody has a lot of good in them. You may say, well, I don't know what it is. And so Spirit says your passions. You look to your hobbies, your passions, your interests. You feed yourself and you create a new way, because like you focus on what's positive in your life, which means you have to put things in your life that are going to make you happy in that space. If there isn't enough things that make you happy, because obviously if there was enough things that were making you happy, you wouldn't have attracted somebody that gave essentially nothing, that or couldn't give, or had weird rules to make you feel as if you were separate. So Spirit's saying You want to change your energy first and not attract anybody, because it's not that this person won't be in remorse. They are in remorse. They're sorry that they can't give you what you want. They don't understand why they do what they do. They don't understand why, and they can see it from your perception, but it goes on and on and on and on, which is common when we want to be with somebody that is not changing, that can't change. And that's whether they're with us or they're separate from us. But we know that there's love there. So what Spirit is saying is the moral of the story is all about you creating more of yourself. I'm going to leave that there. Now, if you resonated with this message, Virgo, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, write the comment of the day. And the comment of the day was that card, which was Clear Family Karma. I didn't even have to look for it this time. Amazing. I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.